My name is Mike Freemuth. I'm a member of the Chicagoland IABA chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, this presentation is entitled The Superhero Within, Actualizing Corporate Intrapreneurship. Coach Clinton is a strategic technologist, certified professional coach, certified scaled agile framework program consultant with nearly 20 years experience in technical solutions development and management consulting. He has a BA in CIS, MS in management of technology from Georgia Tech, and is pursuing a doctorate in organizational behavior and strategy implementation. He is a contributing author to the book Coaching Perspectives 5. Clinton got into coaching after seeing the need for the role while working with business leaders and supporting their need for objective advice and counsel. With his primary experience being in entrepreneurially based technology companies, Clinton has been intimately involved in working with leadership of all levels of an organization and across all disciplines. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome our speaker, Clinton Aegis.
So the question is, what? Some of you may be thinking, what is he doing? Well, first let me take off of my superhero gear and so you guys can recognize who I am from a talking standpoint and not have you distracted. But the question that is important to all organizations is, and what I want you to ask yourselves is, what is it that all employers want that all employees desperately want to give? What is that? Anyone have any idea? The thing that all employers desperately seek and employees are readily interested in giving. The answer is employee engagement. All employees want to be plugged in to the organization, and the organization wants you to be plugged in. Employee engagement is important as we talk about actualizing corporate entrepreneurship today. In a Gallup study of 142 countries for the state of the global workplace, they found that 13%, only 13% of employees are engaged. They saw that 63% are not engaged, means that they're not really happy or necessarily unhappy, but they're just not kind of plugged in. And then they saw that 24% of employees are actively disengaged. Kind of sounds a lot like my last marriage, right? It was unhappy, unproductive, negativity, right? So that's one of the things that as a corporation, you want to have that engagement because you don't want to be in a situation where you are going to have your employees spreading that negativity. So, what makes corporate entrepreneurship important? As we look at unleashing the superhero within, it is one of those ingredients that is necessary to make that superhero. What do you mean, ingredient, you may ask? So, can someone tell me what this is? This is sun. And what superhero got their power from the yellow sun? You guys don't watch movies? Superman. Superman got his power from the yellow sun. Someone tell me what this is. All right, now, come on. I know you guys know. Superpowers from being bit by a spider, right? Spider-Man, exactly. And it's even easier as it goes down, right? So, Green Lantern, and Green Lantern gets his powers from the Lantern core, from the lantern itself, right? He holds it up, he shouts out his oath, and that's what gives him his powers. So just like all the superheroes we see as kids, we need to have that corporate entrepreneurship to kind of help us. So looking at this guy, Gifford Pinchot III, why is that important? He's one of the individuals who actually coined the term entrepreneurship. And this was like back in the 70s he came up with this term. And so as we look at this, you know, because when I first started talking about this as a topic, people were like, entrepreneurship, don't you mean entrepreneurship? Well, it's somewhat similar, right? But the way that it's actually been defined in the dictionary is that entrepreneurship is the successful adaptation of entrepreneurial activities inside of a bureaucratic organization. And the focus and the goal of that is to provide innovation. So when you get folks tied into this entrepreneurship, then the output of that is innovation for your organization. And then you say, well, what exactly is entrepreneurship? Tell me more, right? It's a couple of different things. The first thing is that because of that employee engagement at the base of entrepreneurship, then your organization is going to drive and strive towards innovation, creating new products, new services, things that are going to be good for your market, for your customer base. From there, that leads to organizational growth. So as a company that's looking to position themselves to grow and further themselves, this is something that's going to be important from a change standpoint. You have to understand that employee engagement, and thus you have to focus on that employee. The use of technology has dominated our world. We've seen it happen in the past, 20-something years, since 1990 when the internet was birthed, right? In the past 25 years, we've seen technology just kind of take over. I mean, social media is just a few years old, and it's everywhere. It's proliferating our lives. And so because of all of this technology, we've got new fields called master data management. We've got new things talking about databases and storing all of this information. Companies make money. Google, one of the most profitable companies in the world, and all they do is collect information, right? So when we look at all of this, there's now a need for people who can manage and handle this information. And that need has given rise to the increase in the challenges around retaining and finding good talent. So baby boomer generation, you worked for the gold watch. Generation X, I don't really know what we work for, right? I mean, we kind of get confused. But the millennials, lifestyle. They are all about lifestyle. They are not very easily impressed by the bling, right? Our generation, I guess Generation X was about the bling, right? So they're not impressed by the bling. They do like money, but it serves a means to an end for them. It's not something that they're not working for the gold watch or to have the big 401k. They don't even think like that right now. So as you're looking at this talent, you're going to need these folks to have help. And as a result, the practices of management from the days of manufacturing are gone. Those practices as it relates to manual workers, to how productive can someone be, those measures have changed. No longer can you ask me as a business analyst or a project manager, hey, how long is it going to take to do that BRD? How long is that project going to take? It doesn't matter how many times I've done it. I can't tell you exactly. It's not a widget. I'm not a piece of a worker within an assembly line that's going to allow me to just say, I do so many pieces per minute. That doesn't work. So we've got to change the way things are, and we've got to look at what Peter Drucker referred to as the knowledge worker. Those are the folks that are coming around. That's the new thing now. Why is that important? Why is it important to understand knowledge worker and how that impacts our society? Because of this number, 44%. Any ideas of what that is? 44% is the percentage of the U.S. workforce that are knowledge workers. That's tremendous. As an economy, we don't produce much of anything, right? Everyone here gets paid to think, for their services, for their brain power. That's a lot of what we do. And so we can't look at those manufacturing practices around, that 80s management style and think, oh, this is going to work great for us. Because it's not. It's not the same. I love this picture. I wish I were taught how to think instead of what to think. I mean, that was a big thing. Teaching you to think a certain way. I mean, I think back in the day it was the IBM way, right? Big Blue, thinking about how the banks and the big consulting companies, they all wanted people to think the same way, instead of teaching them how to actually think, how to analyze, how to critically assess information. Companies now need to move to a place with a knowledge worker where their focus is on continuous improvement. All right, this is something that we're seeing a lot with the birth of Agile, coming in as a software development methodology, but we need to take this approach and we need to expand it throughout the entire organization. So it's not just around software development. We also need to look at how we handle all of our processes. Quote from Peter Drucker: "The most important and indeed the truly unique contribution of management in the 20th century was the 50-fold increase in productivity of the manual worker in manufacturing." Right? The Industrial Revolution was tremendous in the United States, and that's what allowed us to grow into that superpower. And as a result of that, the most important contribution of management in the 21st century is understanding how to be productive and increase the productivity for the knowledge worker. And I'm going to tell you, measure me on BRDs per minute is not going to do it. Pressuring me to get things done faster is not going to do it. How many people that when you're pressured to think about something faster, you can actually come up with good ideas? It doesn't happen. So organizations are going to have to get away from this deadline-oriented approach. It doesn't make sense. You can't think of things on a deadline. I don't know how many guys saw this movie. Anyone see this movie? Kevin Spacey was a star in it. It's Horrible Bosses. He and Jason Bateman. Hilarious movie if you ever get a chance to. But Jason Bateman worked in a knowledge worker capacity, and he hated Kevin Spacey as a boss because he was just that psycho driving, slave driver. And so always putting pressure on him to get things done and really mistreating him, just making him not feel good about what he did from a job standpoint. And even though it seems like, it's fiction, it's trivial, I mean, the plot of the movie is they eventually tried to go and, kill their bosses or whatever. But not to say anyone here would do that. But again, the whole point is that we need to reevaluate how we do things. The goal is for us to find out what's necessary to create those knowledge workers within our organization, right? Because everyone has a superhero inside of us. And so which brings me to my story, right? And I shared this a little bit earlier, but as a kid, like most kids, we all like superheroes, right? I mean, they represent the good in people. And the fact that they could do things that are miraculous and amazing. And so as kids, we look up to those characters and we all want to be superheroes. You guys saw me fly in with a cape and mask on. And, it was kind of obnoxious, but it was fun. And so as a kid, the hero that I wanted to be was a doctor. My siblings, they had real bad asthma, and so they went to the doctor a lot. And so I thought, medicine is the path for me to try to, give back and help people. And so as I, went to school, of course, I started out biology pre-med, but I kind of focused on partying and having a good time. I don't know if any of you took that major in school. But eventually, I came to computer information systems as a major. And so that landed me in the career field of business analysis. And here I was as a business analyst. Your job is to do what with stakeholders? Help them. Help them figure out the solutions to their problems. So here I was getting to fulfill this superhero need. Eventually I got to the place where I worked with a really young company, entrepreneur organization. I was like employee number 56, and eventually we grew to like 200. And so I got a chance to grow within this organization. I was hungry. I was excited. I was a lead business analyst. I was a top performer in that organization. I was consistently getting high marks on my annual performance evaluations, getting the maximum raises they had to offer. I participated in the Habitat for Humanity, building the houses, and any of the employee days, and everything that we had going on, junior achievement. I would go out to the schools and speak. I did everything that they had to offer. And so eventually I got to the place where, as a senior business analyst, there was no career path. There was nothing left, right? They said, well, we can't give you more raises because you're at your salary maximum. And we can't give you a promotion unless you want to go and be a manager in some functional area, right? And I didn't really want to do that. I enjoyed the role that I was playing. And so, they eventually gave me a promotion to lead business analyst. I didn't get a raise with that, so that kind of made me feel a certain way. And so to try to solve that for myself, because again, I wanted to grow, I wanted more. I went and I got involved in my local IIBA chapter and became president of that. And that kind of fed my need to be involved. I actually went and got enrolled in my doctoral program, so working on my doctorate in organizational behavior. That again gave me more. But I wanted more from my company, and they didn't have it to offer. And as a result of that, I wound up leaving. So a top performing employee, plugged in, fully engaged within the organization, they had no paths for me to express my creativity or innovation. So as a result of that, I left the company. That's not what you want as an organization. So now you ask, how? How do we go about doing this corporate entrepreneurship? How do we get this engagement so we can get to that as a goal? And so with that comes along with this very simple. You start with communicating the vision and the principles of the organization. And I don't mean just doing it once at the beginning of the year in the annual meeting. I mean consistently. We're going to talk a little bit about some of that stuff now. So the first thing is, when you're doing this communication, what are the 3 areas that you need to focus on that you're going to be sharing within your company, right? First is the overall business strategy. In order for anyone to be engaged and support anything, then you really need to understand it. So you need to share that with your organization. What is our strategy? What are we trying to do? How are we trying to get there? It's important. I don't just need to know what it is that we want to do, right? I need to know how we plan to do it. In addition to knowing how we plan to do it, what do I need to do? What is my role? How do I tie into achieving those objectives specifically? How does my department do it? How do I as an individual do it? Because again, if not, then I'm going to be doing something that's random and not contributing to what we want to accomplish as an organization. Thirdly, regular status updates on the progress. How many people have sat through an employee meeting that they tell you at the beginning of the year, this is what we're going to do? That's in January. You never hear anything else about it, Anyone else sitting in one of those meetings? Don't hear anything else about it. You don't know, are we tracking? Are we on progress? Are we failing? What's the status of that? Not only status as an organization, how's my department doing, right? Because even if you said, even if they do give you information, what's the number one piece of data they give you? Sales data. Oh yeah, we're getting all this revenue. But that doesn't really work for you, does it? It doesn't translate into what you do if you're building software. I don't know how I tie into that. So it's easy to not be engaged because it's not relative to me. Taking the time to communicate that message, speaking through those three focus areas, allows me to feel like I belong. If I know what the plan is, I know how I contribute, and I'm getting feedback on my contribution, then I feel like I belong. Again, manual work was all about the task, organizing the task, making sure it was efficient in the task. Knowledge work is about the individual. You as the person, you are the resource. Your experiences are the resource. The things that you learn and can share with the organization is what's important. If they lose you, Mike, then they don't have all the things that Mike knows. And so from that standpoint, you're losing valuable pieces of the thing that create what you are as a company. You're not irreplaceable because everything that makes you the person that I hire is what I need from our organization. Can I find someone who knows maybe some of the same things? Yeah. Would they have the same energy, same personality? Would they fit the corporate culture in the same way? Maybe not. Right? So it's a system that you're creating, and it's based on the people. By doing these things, we move up to the third ladder in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that belonging step. Accepts change, organizational purpose, work-life balance, organizational pride, teamwork, and collaboration. If I belong, then I will collaborate. If I belong, I've got a sense of pride. I work for the greatest company in the world. Who wants to leave a company like that? No one does. Right? That's what we're looking for. Even Superman in the comics and movies at times felt isolated and alone. The greatest superhero in comic book history, unstoppable by anything except kryptonite, a small rock, right? Outside of that, this guy was amazing. But when people made him feel like he didn't belong, like he was an alien, he was an outsider, he would feel depressed. That's why he built this fortress of solitude, so he can go back and kind of regather himself and get his thoughts together and come back out. So even Superman can be affected by negativity. Let's talk about vision and principles. Our vision is what we want to do. Our principles are the beliefs and the framework for how we execute what we do. So how do we want to deliver? What is it that we want to give to the organization? Stated another way, the vision is the inspiration and the principles are the motivation. They're the action. I love this cartoon. Take a look at it. Why do I like this? It says our younger employees respond better to beating the high score versus raising and increasing profits. That's anybody. So when your company says, next year our goal is to increase revenues by 50%, do you get excited about that? No. Especially when you don't see how your salary doesn't increase 50%, right? Company's revenues are increasing, but I get the 3% raise? Come on, really? Right? So what language is your organization using to communicate what we want to do? The number 5. In an article by Craig Cipollo from Fast Company, he said there are 5 rules for making your vision stick. And we're going to talk about those 5 rules. Number 1 is inspiration. You have to use words and images that are going to resonate with people. They have to be inspired by your vision, by what you want to do as an organization. It's just essential. We get galvanized behind speeches, and we elect politicians that serve on our behalf all of the time, simply because of the words that they use. We're inspired by to take action. A challenge element. I mean, increasing the revenue by 50%, that's good, but that doesn't really say anything for me. Give me something that I can relate to. Give me a challenge that, let's beat the guys across the street. Make it competition. Make it something that I want to be involved in. Clarity. Use words that people understand, right? Make it succinct. Make it tie into something that people can relate to. Task specific. Not only do I need to share the vision, I need to make sure that you understand how it applies to you in your department, and what everyone else would need to do in order to contribute. Because without that link, it's pointless, right? Most people don't know how to take action on those words. You have to tell me. Tell me how to take that action. And then the 5th thing is inclusive. So not only should you share this information using words like we, our, and us, but it should be readily available for anyone within the organization. And so many times there are closed doors around pieces of the strategy as it relates to what the organization is doing. That's not good. Because when it's Thanksgiving time, the kids don't want to sit at the kid table, do they? They want to sit at the table with all the adults. Same goes in your organization. If you cipher off and you guys can't know this information, even if it's not anything that's useful, now your curiosity is piqued and you feel left out. And when you feel left out, there's a high opportunity for you to become disengaged. So let's be inclusive in that information that we share. And then we need to make sure we understand those methods for communicating. So right now I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm also trying to use a lot of visual, because visual is 55% of the communication for most people. People understand things that are more visual. Audio is next, being able to talk, using tone, using inflection, using music. There are songs that I listened to when I was a kid. Like, I don't know how many people are old school hip hop. I used to listen to this group called the Sugar Hill Gang. And that song came out in like 1974 or 75. And I can still rap most of it, because that song, that melody is stuck in my head. There's songs that I listened to in college that as it came on, I could still pretty much sing along with it, because that music and those words stuck with me. It's powerful. We need to use it. And then, of course, text. You have to use some text, but very little, as you can see. Without focus, without understanding the vision, even the greatest of superheroes, Captain America here, can fall off, can lose focus. They could fade away into nothingness. It happens to anyone. You get excited. I mean, your new job is like a relationship, right? You get excited about it, you whine, you dine, you court, and then like some bad things happen, and you're like, ugh. But that organization has to do like you need to do in your personal relationships. You gotta keep making it, you gotta reignite that thing, you gotta get it, the spark going. So as an organization, you have to consistently figure it out, because you don't want this to be, your employee workforce. Now let's talk a little about how some of this visioning comes into play. So, can I get a volunteer to read this? Aloud? Right here.
The Vision to provide access to the world's information in one click.
And the next line.
Mission to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful.
Anybody have any idea what company's vision and mission this is? Google. Very good. All right. Since you answered, you get the next one. All right. Yes.
Vision. Our vision is to be Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online.
Any idea about what company that is? Amazon. Very good. This one is great. I'll read this one. All right. To be led by a globally diverse workforce that consistently delivers outstanding business results, understands the various cultural demands of a global marketplace, is passionate about technology and the promise it holds to tap human potential, and thrives in a corporate culture where inclusive behaviors are valued. Any ideas? First of all, before I reveal the name, how does that make you feel? A globally diverse workforce delivers outstanding business results, tap human potential, thrives in corporate culture, inclusive behaviors of value. I was like, man, can I get a job there? Employee-centric. Employee-centric, right? Microsoft. That's their mission statement. Doesn't say anything about building software, does it? All right, the next one is really funny. All right, let you guys figure this one out. Yeah, so I'll let you read it. I won't read that one out loud. Any ideas? Apple. What gave it away? The arrogance? I mean, I was like, wow. Okay, that's definitely Apple. So that's pretty good. But I mean, as you can see, the companies take on the persona of the vision that they're putting out. So even if Microsoft isn't quite where their vision is, it indicates the direction that they want to go as an organization. So that's something that's important to you, the vision that we saw with them earlier, then you would sign up for that. So the question I have for all of you here in the room is, do you have superheroes that are working for you? You very well might. But what is it going to take for you to unleash those superheroes? Because again, we look mild-mannered, and we're waiting to be developed. We're waiting to be developed. An important aspect of that is, of course, you have to inspire. There has to be a vision. Superman's vision was the never-ending fight for truth, justice, and the American way. That's what he believed in. That's what he stood for. They called him the Boy Scout because that's what he stood for. And it sounds a little cheesy, but it was important to his belief system, and it fueled everything that he did. So he didn't hurt people, right? Even though he would stop bad guys, he was capable of crushing anyone. But he didn't hurt people because he didn't feel like his job was judge, jury, and executioner. That belief fueled him. And so for us as individuals, what is the belief that fuels us? What is it that we seek to tie into? Vision and purpose are key to developing your superhero that's inside of you. The making of a superhero. What do we need to do? So we kind of talked about it in a loose framework. Now let's talk about it and kind of crystallize a little bit more. So the first thing is individual goals. As an individual, I will align my individual goals with the corporate goals, which are set by the vision, which will facilitate personal growth. So if I understand what the vision of the organization is, when it comes time for me to do my annual performance plan and to say the things that I'm going to focus on this year, I am more than likely going to pick things that I know will contribute to the organization's goals. What's that going to do? That means that as I see things develop, I feel like I have a sense of employee voice and empowerment. Because again, I'm picking the things that I want to work on, the projects that I want to work on, the things that I want to learn, the things I want to focus on. I'm picking that. So that's my voice. That's my contribution to what we've set as a goal. And as an organization, you have to take it beyond just words. You have to extend that vision and those principles into your actual environment. So here's a workspace for Google. Of course, everyone thinks, that's Google, it's ultra cool. It's bright colors, right? No desk, freedom of movement. To get the innovation that they're looking for, they give this type of environment because it's helpful. And some of you may say, well, that's Google, that's untouchable, right? Well, this is a former employer of mine. And they had a cafe set up. So, and they also had hot desk. Everybody's familiar with that concept? So hot desk seating is there are no offices. Everyone signs in and gets a desk. The most that you can reserve a desk is a week at a time. And so anybody can pick any desk anywhere. Even the managers don't have offices. They all sit at desks, open seating. This is like the cafe area. You can sit here, plug in, do your work, what have you. Totally collaborative environment. If you needed to use the phone for a conference call, they had phone booths that individuals can go into, had small conference rooms that a few people can go into, and then they had the big conference rooms where a lot of people can go into them. So you can still get away to have your private time if you needed to. But that's how they conducted their space. So there was no, this is my desk. Another thing that companies need to do outside of the physical piece is incorporating this concept called think time. Giving employees the actual time to think about innovation and how they can make the organization better. 20%. Anybody have an idea what that might be? 20% is the amount of time that companies like Apple, HP, Google give their employees to think about innovation. That's a lot of time. 20% of their time can be dedicated to that. And so for those of you who are in here like, there's no way my company's going to go for that because that's a lot of time. Yeah, it is. It's roughly 1 day a week, and I call it 6 hours of productive time because that's about how much, 75% is your average productivity on a daily basis. So it's about 6 hours. But you're looking at a total of 288 hours a year. That's a lot of time. What's the ROI on that? How do I make sure that I'm getting my money's worth for this think time? Right? That's what someone might be asking. And that's okay. Because now let's talk about actualizing that innovation. How do we go about doing that? So the first thing is this concept called an innovation lab. And that's where, as an organization, you designate 1 time a quarter, 2 times a year, maybe 1 time a year, where people who have participated in this think time are responsible for presenting those ideas. So the company will provide a venue. Teams could, build teams. Self-selection. I want to work with you. I want to work with you. Hey, Mike, let's all get together and let's. I've got this idea. Let's figure something out. So we work together we all contribute our 20% think time towards this idea. We form a team. Maximum number of teams is selected through a lottery. So, you can't have everybody doing it every quarter. but this quarter we won the lottery, so we get to contribute. And if we want to do something outside of work, that's on our own accord. But if we want the company time, we have to be selected through the lottery for that. If you participate, you're required to pitch an idea. So you can't just take the time and, sleep in on Fridays because you're doing think time. Right? You've actually got to prove and show something back to the organization. Those pitches can be incremental changes to existing processes, but it could be completely blue sky. It's up to you and your team. It gets approved and you get to think about it and come back with your pitch. And of course that pitch, it's so the weekend will be from a Friday to Sunday. So people take Friday off after work. Thursday, everybody goes to the retreat location. You're there Friday and Saturday finalizing your pitch. Sunday you pitch. You give out rewards for teamwork. So I'm so arrogant I want to do it by myself. That's nice, Clinton, but that's not the way we do things here. Right? You need to get a team of people to help you because again, multiple heads are always better than one. So you want to do that. The pitch is attended by the senior leadership team. So it's a FaceTime for those of us who really want to get in there and get to know the execs. The winning team, of course, gets funded. They get recognition throughout the organization. The blue team did it. They did a great job. Hooray! That team, if they get funded, they get to recruit. I want to recruit some folks for this project. Within the organization, of course. All right? Who wants to be in a team to help us figure this out, flesh it out? Whose skills can help? And then, of course, being agile, they give regular demos. So they don't just go into a black box and team is formed and no one can report anything out. They give regular incremental demos to say this is what we're working on. Now we've increased. We've gone up a level. We're going up to the esteem level because I'm tied into the organization. I've got skin in the game. I am creating inside of my own employer, my company, my corporation, something that I think is new and revolutionary is going to help us be a better organization. Who doesn't want that as an employee? And for those who you don't have the budget to do an innovation lab, which will require some effort, I give you that. That 20% can be used for personal development. Not 20% that you take when you get home and read. Nobody does that, right? No, literally, seriously. Allow me to do this stuff during work hours, taking some time to go and do books, texts, articles, workshops, seminars, conferences, doing this type of stuff. This is a part of your 20%, right? Allowing you to come and do this. But what if I wanted to write a book about something? And I have, but what if I wanted to do more? You need the time to think about that kind of stuff. And it might not be directly related to the organization, but if it's a passion of mine and you allow me to express myself, and I am in turn fulfilling the requirement of knowledge sharing with my peers, peer-to-peer knowledge sharing. So if I do something, then I've got to share with the organization. Then I am, again, getting the status of recognition within my peer group. They're seeing me as an expert. I'm fulfilling my dream. I'm plugging in. I'm contributing to the organization. And then, as an organization, you benefit from this. My organization benefits from me coming and doing these speaking engagements because there's so much that I learn when I'm at these events. And so much that when I'm researching to give the topics, that I'm picking up and learning as well. So, all of that contributes back to the organization. And at the very entry level, right, let's do a 21st century idea box. So, not a physical box, right, because we've seen those things and they all kind of suck. You put something in there and it just goes away. So you want to have an email address or a place on the intranet or a wiki where you can put all those ideas. But as an organization, if you put that box out, guess what you need to do? You need to go through that box. You need to respond to that stuff. Because there's nothing worse than having this great idea and you drop it in the box and it vanishes into the ether. That is not going to be developing employee engagement. It's going to promote disengagement, right? Everyone familiar with the company DreamWorks? So DreamWorks Animations has a very great policy what their policy is they allow and train all employees how to do a pitch. All employees learn how to do a pitch, so that if they have an idea, they know the format to pitch that idea to the leadership within DreamWorks. In addition to that, anyone who wants to take artistic development classes can do so. I'm talking about the attorneys, the accountants, anyone who wants to take artistic development classes is free to do so at DreamWorks. Why? Because then that's giving everyone the understanding of the framework for which their organization works on, its own creativity. So they understand those things, then they can be better at presenting and coming up with those ideas. They understand the intricacies around what it takes. And so then they can push that information forward. And it, in turn, helps the organization be more creative and come up with better ideas for movies and animation, things like that. Bottom line is, you cannot leave your employees out on a limb. What does that mean? That means there cannot be an environment where if I fail, I'm persecuted or ridiculed. It's got to be a safe place for failure, because failure, in essence, is just learning. No one ever gets anything right the first time. The bottom line. But where did this notion come from in business that we have to get it right the first time? Who came up with that? Why do we live like that? It doesn't make sense. We need to back away from that as an organization. 95%. 95%, according to a study in Forbes magazine on the cost of developing a new drug, 95% of all medicines proposed for humans are both ineffective and unsafe for humans to use. 95%. Now this explains why the drugs cost so much that we are able to use, because that some cost is going into those things, but 95% of drugs fail. You guys recognize this guy? Anybody watch TV? House. The whole show, the whole 1 hour episode, what did this team do repeatedly over and over and over again? Fail. Each time they failed, what did they do? They got together and they discussed what they did wrong. No one said, oh, you got it wrong. Right? Even when they were down on themselves, they would make sure that they worked together to try to figure out what this person's prognosis was. In 2001, Toyota took a lot of their practices around management and their philosophy, and they formulated it into this philosophy they call the Toyota Way. The Toyota Way looks at long-term gain over short-term gain. So they're not focused on making $1 tomorrow. They're focused on sustainability of the organization. And as such, we've seen over the years that they have done just that. They're one of the world's leading car manufacturers. And the Toyota Way has two different paths. Continuous improvement, which we've seen rise up again in Agile, the Kaizen, the challenge, and the Gichi Gubutsu. The Gichi Gubutsu is, if there's a problem, go and see, right? So don't just hear about a problem, don't let somebody else tell you about a problem. Go and inspect and observe for yourself. And then, of course, respect for people. Two principles, really. Let's work together as a team, but let's respect one another. That's the Toyota Way. Which they then turned into, and you can go to their website. Go to the website, and it shows the tree of sustainable growth for Toyota. And it goes through all the things that they need to, as an organization, what their philosophy is and how they plug into each other. Again, bearing fruit through the cars that they do, bearing fruit through the services they provide outside of just the organization. The Prius. You guys remember this car first came around? Toyota spent 5 years and nearly $1 billion to create the Prius, without any notion of, is it something for the market? Do people want it? Have people been asking for a hybrid car? All they knew is that they thought the hybrid car was the car of the future, and they came up with it. 5 years, $1 billion. How many people, organization would have taken that long? No. Many people would have scrapped. But as a result, they've sold 26 million cars. And they were the first company to develop a luxury hybrid vehicle. 40 miles to the gallon. Doesn't look anything like a Prius, but it's a Prius underneath. So this hero. Why is making a hero important? It's really easy. Because according to the Gallup research, companies that have engaged employees outperform those that don't by 202%. 202%. That means you are kicking your competition's butt if your employee workforce is engaged. That leads to sustainability. The organization wants that. Employee belief leads to the feeling of belonging. That belonging leads to alignment. I'm aligning my activities with the company because I feel like I belong, right? That alignment means that I've synced my goals with the organization. Those synced goals put me in a position where the organization is now performing at a greater pace. Because if all of us are aligned, if all of us are making goals that are going to support their company goals, then as an organization, we're going to perform better than other organizations. And so those revenue objectives, those performance enhancements, all those things that we want to do, that the organization wants to do, we're going to accomplish those. Because people are plugged in, they're engaged. Does that make sense? At the end of the day, we want to make superheroes. Because those superheroes are going to help your organization fight the good fight. No matter what that is, whether that be growing your revenue, whether it be streamlining your processes, those superheroes are going to plug in and support your organization. It won't happen overnight because many times those superheroes that we see in the movies and television, they have failures. They develop. Their skills get better. So as an organization, your employees will do the same. They will get better over time if you create the environment for it to happen. Are you ready to be a superhero? As you can see, I am. Thank you.